Good morning, guys. This is Chris from RBA News. And apparently, free speech is under attack. That's exactly what we're going to look at today. What I like to do is I like to look at an article from the left, an article from the right, compare them, and see if there's some truth there. So, we're going to start off just jumping right in. I like to jump in. Today was a little bit difficult getting up, but I did it. So, let's just jump right in. This is a This is an article from the American Prospect, which is a left-leaning source. You can see right here, it's categorized left. You can kind of tell based on the title, which side they lean on. So this one says, Republicans leverage Charlie Kirk's death to declare war on free speech. A cruel toll is being canonized so liberals and leftists can be silenced. That's a little much. All right, Prospect is a little much. Ryan, we'll see what you have to say in your article, and we'll compare that to the Fox. Okay. Charlie Kirk is dead, tragically and horrifically shot in front of hundreds of students, and the conservative movement has scented opportunity in the blood. That's a weird way to phrase that. And it's just like awkwardly phrased, in my opinion. Much like a TikToker present at the assassination, who instant reaction was to whip out his phone. Yeah, that was crazy. If you guys haven't seen the video, there's this guy. As soon as Charlie gets shot, he pulls out his phone. He starts recording. It's crazy. Um, Extremely irresponsible. If you're ever in a situation where there's gunshots, don't pull out your phone and just start filming. Either get out of there or try to help others. But yeah, that's crazy. Whipped out his phone and started recording some short form video slop. Yeah, it's disgusting, man. We're living in some really dark times. And who apparently stole some merch. Yeah. And there's videos of people as soon like Charlie Kirk isn't even fully dead yet. Like he still has a pulse. And someone runs up to the table and starts taking hats and stealing them. It's insane. Again, crazy. Stole some merch from the table where Kirk has been sitting. Kirk's corpse wasn't even cold before the right started frantically scrambling around for the most cynical possible way his death could be exploited and monetized. See, that's such a disingenuous way to put that. That's such a it's a lie, is what that is. The right isn't looking for an opportunity. See, this is when they tell you what they are, what they're doing. This is what the left would do. See, Kirk's corpse wasn't even cold before the right started frantically scrambling around for the most cynical possible way his death could be exploited and monetized. Do you mean like George Floyd? Do you mean like where you used the death of George Floyd to force everyone on the right to shut up, and if they had any commentary on it, you ruined their lives? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. When Kirk got shot, we were all shocked, horrified, and sickened. And if you think somebody on the right did this, you're dumb. You are dumb. Period. You are actively lying. If you're saying that the shooter was on the right, you're actively lying. Right-wing influencers have produced thousands of posts and videos demanding that anyone who speaks ill of Kirk should have their personal information published and fired. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Because we, people who are conservative, don't want to work with people who would celebrate our deaths because, yes, we have the same, if not very similar beliefs as Kirk. I'm a Christian conservative. Should I die? Should I die? See, that's why. That's why people are doing this. We're not doing this like the left does, where you told a bad joke 10 years ago, so we're going to pull that up and then get you fired now. No. You're actively celebrating an innocent man's death, his murder. You're celebrating 2 kids no longer having a father. We aren't the same. Things are different. And you just woke up the silent majority, and Democrats will never win again, period. Dozens of people from all walks of life, including airline employees, doctors, and college professors, have been fired for alleged disrespectful of Saint Kirk. Blessed be his name. See, this person, you can just, this article is dripping in this person's opinion. So it's not, this isn't news, guys. Is this an op-ed? I'm not even sure how to check. It sounds like they're reporting it as if it's a factual news, but they're just dripping in hate. Yes, I would like a doctor who would celebrate my death to no longer be practicing. A doctor that would celebrate the death of conservatives. So there's no Hippocratic oath then. So then do harm is what this doctor believes in. There's been several doctors that have been fired because they're insane. Airline employees. I don't want a pilot who might be mentally ill who would celebrate the death of conservatives flying anyone, period. This isn't the same. And they're trying to make it sound like it's the same thing that the left has been doing for a decade. This isn't. If you come out and gleefully, joyfully, vilely celebrate a father's death, a 31-year-old father's death, whose only crime was speaking hurty words that you don't like. So excuse me. No. That includes simply repeating some of the things he said no, this is such a lie. Because what they're doing is they're taking things he said out of context or completely changing them. I see it constantly. Which apparently got Karen Ate canned. Let's see. Okay. You know what? Let's check. Let's see. Karen, let's see if I can find this person. I've been fired from Washington Post, but my work will continue. Now, why was she fired from Washington Post? Is there a space Kirk? Let's see. What did she say about Kirk? Okay, so I'm assuming this is the article that she was fired for. Let's see. Article double standards in America, apathy towards guns. 11 years ago, I joined the Washington Post, global editor, exiled for speaking, especially those exiled speaking truth. I wish I had hope for gun control and that I could believe political violence has no place in this country. But we live in a country that accepts white children. I wish I had hope for gun control and that I could believe political violence had no place in this country. But we live in a country that accepts white children being massacred by gun violence, not just accepts, but worships violence. That's okay, disgusting. Political violence has no place in this country. But see, anything after but erases everything before but. But we will also do nothing to curb the availability of guns used to carry out said violence. The denial and empty rhetoric is learned helplessness because the truth is America is sick. See, this person hates guns. We'll get into that in a minute, but because America, especially white America, is not going to do what it needs to get rid of guns in this country, it will be thoughts and prayers. Violence has no place out of the performance of goodness. So I'm assuming for everyone saying political violence has no place in this country, remember the two Democrat leaders were shot in Minnesota just this year. I keep seeing this from the left. Does anyone on the left believe that we celebrated the two Democrats who were assassinated? No. No one on the right did. No one at all. I don't remember seeing any of that. And if there was, condemn it. See, the right condemns that behavior. The left celebrates it and defends it. And I'm sorry, this happened. I don't know if she's Mountain Time or Central Time or what, but if she's Pacific like me, this happened like 3, almost 4 hours after Kirk died. And so no condolences, nothing. It's just about gun control. So a crazy leftist with a gun again killed somebody. But we need to take guns away from everybody, including conservatives who didn't do this, who would never do this, who would actually stop the person who tried to do this. No, the left want to take your guns so then they have nothing to fear from you. So then they can enact their will. See, she's constantly in all of these posts, white America, white America, white America. She hates white people. That's the only reason to do that. If I was constantly talking about black people, like black people this, black people that, like, you would clearly be like, oh, he probably just doesn't like black people, which I love black people. Some of my favorite people in the world are black. Like, this is disgusting. Again, I don't care for empty rhetoric. Part of what keeps America so violent is the insistence that people perform care, empty goodness, and absolution for white men who oppose hatred and violence, or espouse hatred and violence. If she's talking about Kirk right here, she's clearly never seen a video from Kirk. Kirk has never once advocated for violence, ever in his life. That, as far as I can tell, I've seen most of his stuff. He has never once. He was a man about common sense. These people are psychotic. So no, you went on a tirade about how white America is the problem, and you got fired for it because you were actively using a man's death to hate white people. So no, excuse me, what's your name again? Ryan Cooper? Yeah, she got fired because she's a fucking racist. And she's a disgusting person. And anyone like her should get fired because everyone else around them in the workplace won't feel safe. Just looking at the evidence, you're more likely to be stabbed or shot by somebody on the left. That's what I've learned. And then they'll celebrate your death and say we shouldn't have empathy for a white man who espoused hate. Because don't mistake it, the left likes to change words because if you control words, you control reality. So they'll say you're a hateful person, even though you're a God-fearing, loyal family man who only wanted to save your country. It makes me sick to my stomach. And this thought is pervasive through the entirety of the left. We haven't even gotten into the main part of the story, and I'm just heated, man. Okay. The Trump regime, meanwhile, is plotting a state prosecution. Vice President Vance took over Kirk's live show for 2 hours, during which he said, I'm just all gassy today. What the heck, man? My goodness. When you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. Again, they clearly do not understand. We now perceive you as a threat. You guys will kill us for our ideas. That's why people are getting you fired. And because it's extremely vile behavior. You have the freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want. But your employer doesn't have to keep you if they think you're a vile human. Sorry. Even if you're my enemy, I wouldn't celebrate your death because death is final. Death is the end. These cravens. And hell, call their employer. Yep, 100% agree with that. And please, if you find anyone, send a link my way, and we'll reach out to their employer for comment. Vance also used an article in The Nation to make a bank shot attack on. Oh, I get it. On philanthropic groups like Open Society. Open Society is run by George Soros, who is a confirmed actual real Nazi. I know you guys don't like Nazis, but it seems like Nazi just means regular person to you and not actual Nazi because you love George Soros and the Open Society. George Soros hires DAs that let people like DeMarcus, who stabbed Irenia on the train, out 14 times. Those are George Soros DAs. He wants to destroy our country. He probably hates us for losing World War II. But yes, there is a picture of him in a Nazi uniform from World War II. And the Ford Foundation. I don't have much information on the Ford Foundation, so I can't speak to that. But if it's anything like the Open Society, if it's funded by George Soros or anyone who has his ideals, so radical communist leftists, yeah, then I would be opposed to that foundation as well. In an attempt to cut off funds for progressive organizations. Yes, good. Good. You notice there's not that many protests this summer or as many riots? Maybe after we cut the USAID funding. Coincidence, I think. All right. Trump Grand Vizier Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is this. This guy hates. This guy hates so much, dude. Like his article is just dripping with this language that's just like so disrespectful. It's so childish too. It's so immature. But whatever, dude. You do you, man. I'll pray for you. Who joined Vance on the show was more menacing. Brother was suffering the death of his friend, and you could hear it in his voice. And excuse me if I'm not upset that Stephen Miller was pissed, because I am too. And so is most of America. You'll find out next election. With God as my witness, we are going to use every resource we have at the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks and make America safe again for the American people, he said. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Look at, after the 60s, the civil rights movement, which was amazing. For whatever reason, after the 60s, our country just started declining. It really started declining after 2013, after the Smith Modernization Act, where Obama and Joe Biden made it legal to propagandize the United States. Back in 1947, or 1948, 1947, they signed the Smith-Mundt Act, which made it so they could propagandize around the world. They just can't do it here in the United States. And then in 2013, they signed the Smith Modernization Act, which removed it. And now they can propagandize. And haven't you seen things have progressively gotten worse since 2013? The media lies more. They call people Nazis when they're clearly not, without any punishment for that. Because let's not mince words or anything. The shooter confirmed it. His own writings. He believed that Kirk was a hateful person. He's clearly never seen actually anything Kirk said. Even when Kirk was disputing somebody for their idea, he didn't do it out of malice. He didn't do it out of hate. He did it purely out of love. And that's what the left doesn't understand. They don't know what love is. They only know what lust is. And they're all brainwashed. And yeah, it's depressing. It will happen. And we will do it in Charlie Kirk's name. Attorney General Pam Bondi added her own threats. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society, she said in an interview. We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech. She later unconvincingly attempted to walk that back, claiming she was only talking about specific death threats. Or maybe she meant death threats. Maybe. Maybe she used hate speech because that's just a common thing that we say now. I don't know. I'm not inclined to believe automatically what the left is writing. I'm going to read Fox, and hey, if they agree, they agree. I don't believe in hate speech laws. I think free speech is important, but at the same time, I think we're in a position where we need drastic measure, or our country's not going to come back. So I don't know. I don't have a specific opinion on this yet. Again, I'm a almost a free speech absolutist, but I do understand that we're incitement, which I'm pretty sure is already illegal. You can't incite to violence. So I mean, if she's meaning targeting people who are inciting violence or promoting violence or encouraging violence, yeah, I support that 100%. They shouldn't be doing that. Targeting people with legal prosecution because they were callous or rude about a dead person is a flagrant violation of the plain reading of the First Amendment. Except for if they're celebrating someone's death, it was just a normal guy, not a politician, purely because of his speech. That means they'd celebrate every single Republican's death and maybe encourage it, and they might be more inclined to do it. We don't know. America's First Amendment rights are unique in the world. Yes, they are. But we're one of the best countries in the world. Both the Constitution and Supreme Court decision have established that Americans have extremely wide legal latitude to say or publish just about whatever they want. That's true. Except for incitement. You can't do that. Short of direct incitement to violence. Exactly. Encouraging someone to commit violence as well. Yeah. Libel or defamation. And compared to European countries, libel and defamation suits are very difficult to win. They are very difficult. That's what I've heard. Especially if you're a public figure, you basically can't do anything about it. Especially against public figures. The freedom of speech very much includes the right to criticize someone who has died. Yes, sure, but not lie in order to promote more violence. Sorry. Like when Jimmy Carter passed away and Ben Shapiro said he was the world's worst ex-president, a horrifyingly bad ex-president who did quite evil things with the ex-presidency, except for he wasn't murdered for his speech. You can have opinion about a president who died. You can have opinions about that. People can have opinions about Charlie Kirk. They didn't have to like him. But when he's assassinated, purely, he's not a politician, purely for his words, and in the killer's own words, he spreads too much hate. So he needed to die. What? What, you fucking coward? Sorry, I don't like cussing. But yes, there is a difference between Ben Shapiro having a an opinion about a bad, horrible ex-president who died. It's unfortunate. He died of old age. He was a very old man. Different than a 31-year-old father of a 1 and 3-year-old being shot in the neck by a 22-year-old leftist purely for his beliefs. This wasn't just an attack on Charlie Kirk. This was an attack on Christian nationalism, which isn't racism. It's just people who believe this is a Christian country, which it is. You might hate that. But some of the best things that you enjoy come from Christianity. Jury of your peers, innocent till proven guilty. This didn't exist till Christianity, period. I'm sure there was some form in Judaism, but not the same. Or even celebrate their deaths. Rush Limbaugh used to gleefully read aloud the names of people who had died of AIDS on his radio show. And that's wrong. And that's wrong. But again, it's not the same. You can't, I mean, unless you have AIDS and you're actively giving it to people, you can't call for more people to get AIDS. But the left is making lists of more Republican voices that need to die. So yeah, the left's doing that because the left is insane, and this person's running cover for it. Those kinds of personal freedoms mostly don't apply to private workplaces. Exactly. So boom, right there. You just answered. You just answered why it's completely okay for people to contact their employers. If an employer goes, "Oh, they believe in what? They believe that people what? They would celebrate my death? What? No, you're fired. We're not going to do that. I want my customers to feel safe. My employees to feel safe. And you make them not feel safe." Americans, as a rule, have pitifully few labor rights, though some victims, like not a victim, they're calling this lady a victim. Okay. Arguably would be able to sue on civil rights grounds, government employee, except for their at will, man. If their employer doesn't want them, they can fire them. If they, you don't just have a right to a job. But free speech rights absolutely do apply to Bondi and Miller's proposed Great Purge, except for that I've not heard either of them call it a Great Purge. Targeting people with legal prosecution because they were callous or rude about a dead person is this is so just, I don't even know the word, just like so dumbed down to the point where it's retarded. Wasn't just rude stuff about a dead man. It's people harassing the wife of a 31-year-old, father of a 1-year-old and 3-year-old who was just murdered in cold blood. And they're saying his family should be next. Or they're saying Ben Shapiro should be next. Or they're saying awful, vile shit, and you're running defense for him. Just say it. You want more Republicans dead. That's literally, that's just all I'm reading here. Because they will use your rules against you. See that? They had plenty of glee canceling people and saying, "Oh, well, words of consequences for a decade." And now that it's finally getting back on them, they're like, "Well, no. Hey. We got to be nice." No, we don't. Not anymore. Because Republicans keep dying. Conservatives keep dying. And everyone keeps saying, okay, they mentioned earlier the two Democrats that were murdered. Does no one remember the stories around that murder? The woman who was killed was seen on camera before her death, crying because she voted against a bill involving transgenderism. And she was crying because she knew her side was going to do something against her. She probably didn't know she was going to die. Maybe if you watch that video. And they keep saying the guy who killed her is a Trump supporter. I don't remember that being a thing. That's only very recently. They suspected But I think that guy killed her because she voted against that bill. I don't think I really do not believe that that guy was a Trump supporter. But if he was, hey, I was wrong. And you know what? There could be crazy people on the right, but you know what? It's much more likely to be on the left. 13 of the last 14 shootings, like mass shootings, were people on the left. Uvalde, trans shooter. We didn't get their psychotic writings for over a year because they wouldn't release them because it was full of the left's ideology and they didn't want that getting out. Even though everyone was like, well, it was a transgender who shot Christian children. It's kind of obvious what the motive is. But whenever the left does it, we don't know what the motive was. We don't know what the motive was. Clearly, we don't know what the motive was. He probably was on the right because they will lie. They will lie until they have complete control, and then they don't need to lie anymore. What communists do. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of this. Ryan Cooper, you're a weak, pathetic little man. Look at him. Look at that dweeb. Okay, we're going to go to Fox, see what they say. The assassination of conservative influencer and Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk last week has sparked renewed urgency and oh, sorry. Cut. The assassination of conservative influencer and Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk last week has sparked renewed urgency around protecting free speech, particularly on college campuses. Kirk, 31. Yeah, and see, the left will flip this free speech argument onto them to make them look in the best light, which if you've seen some of the videos of the left celebrating this or destroying vigils, they're disgusting people. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's disgusting. But they're flipping the free speech argument on its head. Charlie Kirk was killed because of his free speech. This was a literal attack on free speech. And he was shot in the throat. I don't think the shooter was aiming for the throat. I think that was just a happy accident for the shooter. Not a happy accident for us, but for the shooter, I mean, I hope he gets the death penalty, and I don't like that I hope that. It makes me feel gross and it makes me feel bad. And again, guys, I have so much hate, and I don't like to hate. But ever since this happened, it's just like, you know, and my hate for the shooter is what I'm talking about. So don't misconstrue that. I don't hate the left automatically. And I honestly, I don't hate anyone. Well, I hate the shooter, but I don't hate anyone on the left outside of these people who are vile, who are showing us their inside, who they really are. Kirk, 31, was killed Wednesday during a campus event at Utah Valley University, or in Orem, Utah. He leaves behind a wife, Erica, and 2 young children. Again, 1 and 3. And I bet you they would have had more children too. So this is extra sad. Seattle-based journalist and conservative influencer Cameron Higby, who contracts for Turning Point's Frontlines, is among those leading efforts to honor Kirk's legacy. He co-launched a grassroots campus tour this week with political commentator David Kayat called Fearless. I did see that Fearless. I saw it on my feed. And I think it's good. I think it's good that they're doing this. Hopefully they become big and have some you know some of what Charlie did. You know, we need more of what Charlie was doing. Connecting with the youth because they're being brainwashed in these detention centers. I mean, schools. It's just so people that conservatives and people in general aren't afraid to go out and talk about their beliefs in a public square, which they shouldn't. They shouldn't be afraid to do that. They shouldn't. But the radical communists on the left, they don't want you to have peace. They never want you to feel safe in your own country. They don't want you to feel safe speaking, just using your words. It's craziness. Even though Charlie sat behind a table just like ours and was shot and killed, we want to show that we're not scared. Biggie told Fox News Detail. I kind of like the framing so far. I mean, I'm sure they're going to get into what Pam Bondi said and everything, but just so much more reverent, so much less snarky, so much less just disrespectful. Like, man, crazy, crazy. What a little. Who is this person? I want to make sure that I'm not. It doesn't say. Oh, there it is. Kristen Parks. Kristen Parks. Thank you for being not crazy. Wearing "Make America Great Again" hats. Higbee and Kayat set up a booth Monday at Georgia State University with a sign that read, "Nobody should be killed for their opinions. Rip Charlie." And "Left is violent. Let's debate." Ooh, that's probably a good one. The next day, they kept the Kirk's sign and put up a new sign that read, "Men cannot be women. Let's talk." I love it. Higbee said the tour will expand to more schools in Georgia and surrounding states with the goal of encouraging open dialogue between both sides, and that should be the case. I don't care if you don't like their opinion. I honestly, I don't. I don't like your opinion, but you know what? We can still talk. We have to try to find some sort of middle ground, or it's just going to become more and more extreme on both ends. Like what I kept reading, and I probably even posted as well, is there's no more moderate right. As soon as they shot Charlie Kirk for his speech, there was no more modern right. Yeah, or moderate right. Higbee said the tour will expand to more schools in Georgia and surrounding states with the goal of encouraging open dialogue between both sides. I love that. Some people who approached the booth engaged respectfully, Higbee said, while others, confront them aggressively, which is just like, why, man? When did we become animals like that, dude? Clip shared on social media showed one man calling Kirk anti-LGBTQ, which, yeah, he was. He didn't believe in being gay. He didn't believe in that. He thought it was a sin, which he can believe. That's his belief. He never hated anyone just for being gay. No, he said that on multiple occasions. Anytime he's discussed the LGBTQ movement, it's never been about the people. It's the idea. It's the ideology. And saying he was happy Kirk was killed. See, that's fucked up. Sorry. Another person declared Kirk. See, I'm happy Kirk was assassinated for his free speech, is what this person said. And they would be happy if these two people were assassinated for their free speech as well. Like, don't get it twisted. If those people, I'm praying for their safety while they do this on campus. But if they were hurt in any way, this person would be celebrating. We know that. You can tell that. How do you live with somebody who would do that? The left just doesn't get it. Because I don't think they actually have like cogent thought. It's just top down cult behavior. Whatever the top says, the bottom has to do. And as it disseminates from the top, it gets more and more radicalized. Like more and more radical. Like the Democrats say Republicans are Nazi, Charlie Kirk's a Nazi, 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 and then someone kills a Nazi because they were like, "Oh, you can kill Nazis. Nazis are punch a Nazi in the face." It's disgusting human behavior. Another person declared Kirk deserved it and mocked him by pretending to shoot himself in the neck. And that kid was expelled. Sorry. Sorry. You want to be a disgusting person? We don't want you around. You can leave. It's very sad to see that kind of thing, especially people who clearly know nothing about Charlie. Exactly. They don't know anything about Charlie except for what they've heard from up above, from their command structure. They don't know they don't know Jack. Coming up and basically justifying his death. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's wild to me. At one point, a person snatched Kayat's hat as a crowd cheered. Like, what the fudge, dude? When did this become okay? OX, Higby wrote, the protesters also tried to take their microphones, jumped on their table, and demanded they leave. See, these people, you can't reason with them. Higby, who frequently documents Antifa activity in the Pacific Northwest, said the hostility extends beyond campuses. He encouraged protesters at a Seattle vigil for Kirk, where one man boasted on camera that he supports Kirk's murder and would have killed him himself. See, this is the left. Would have killed him himself. The left is violent. The left is violent and disgusting and full of demons. If you don't think demons are real, man, you got another thing coming. Higby said he was punched in the face by two of the protesters while covering the vigil and protest. I hope whoever punched him got arrested. One of them grabs my phone out of my hand, then punched me in the face. And then the transgender person came up and punched me in the face. Transgenders are violent. You're more likely to be injured from a transgender than you are from a normal person. That's just statistics. That's just stats. I can show you the numbers. They literally smashed my smart glasses. His smart glass, dude, bro, not the smart glasses. They're completely destroyed, he said. Yeah, because they're the party of destruction, murder, and just vile behavior. I mean, is it any surprise the left created the KKK? The left assassinated, you know, JFK, I'm sure. They wanted to keep slaves. The South were all Democrats. The Republicans were created by Lincoln. Like, just look at history, man. The party's never changed. That's why, like, when you hear the left talk about illegal aliens, they're like, "Oh, we still need our cheap labor. Don't get rid of our cheap labor. How could you? All of our stuff's gonna be more expensive now." That's the same argument they had about slaves, bro. Miss me with it. Despite the confrontation, Higby said many students have shown support for Kirk's family, even if they disagreed with his politics. See, those people, whoever these people are, those are good people. I don't agree with them as far as like politically, I'm sure. But you don't go around disrespecting somebody and their family, especially in the way that the left's been doing it, man. Like you can say, "Hey, I don't like him or what he stood for, but I don't think he deserved to die." Like if he like I'm on the side of murder bad, but the left defend it at every chance. Like look at the Luigi Mangione thing. He assassinated some innocent like sure the guy worked for medical insurance, but that doesn't mean he deserves to die. But the left don't know anything but violence. Overwhelming support. Today, I tabled at the University of Washington in Seattle with a sign that said, "Nobody should be killed for their opinions. The majority of people, even those who disagree with Kirk, agreed and said condolences." See, that's humanity.
Sad day for America.
Sad day.
Thanks, guys, man. I'm with you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Charlie is, man, his like I said, his voice is even bigger now
Yeah.
than ever before.
It's like an artist.
Yeah, but
People pay closer attention.
I just pray that God will raise up more Charlie Kirks in his world.
Sure. He
And
will.
they have, and he has, sir. He has. I may not be the biggest. I don't even have a subscriber, I think, at this point. So, but I'm not going to stop talking. I didn't want to get up this morning. There was some serious warring going on in my head this morning when I woke up. Um, but I did because you know what? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do this every day, except for the weekends. Weekends are my time. You don't get my weekends. Maybe if I have a story that I want to cover, then I'll do a weekend segment. But we're gonna see how this goes. I'm just doing this because I want to. You know, Charlie Kirk can't die in vain. Something has to come from it. Something good. We need to take our country back. We need to open up mental institutions again. Start putting crazy people in them again. He believes Kirk's influence has spread because of his commitment to debate and the civil discourse. And you see how this article is full of like just facts? Like, hey, this happened. This happened. And it's just so different from the last one. The last one was so hyperbolic and just dripping with sarcasm and hate. This, it's reverent. It's like, hey, a man died. I don't care if you agree with him. We shouldn't be dying for our beliefs. This is 2025 in America. I think that Charlie was almost a perfect reflection of the principles that this country was built on. 100%. But don't have, don't mistake me. They hate our founding fathers. They tore down their statues. They don't like our founding fathers. They don't like the founding of this nation. The left are communists and they want to start a revolution so they can get rid of our Constitution. That's why they're always talking about how we should be more like Europe. No, no, no. We escaped Europe. We escaped and made something way better. And they've hated us ever since for it. Not literally, but, people are sad because he represented what America stands up for. And he was murdered doing it, he added. Turning Point USA, the organization Kirk founded, has received more than 37,000 inquiries from people interested in starting new chapters, new campus chapters since his death. Amen, dude. Keep it up. Do it. Don't slow down. Okay, so this article really didn't talk about Pam Bondi at all. I thought it was going to, but Fearless Tour takes Charlie Kirk's free speech mission to college nation. I guess, yeah. Well, it didn't talk about what Pam Bondi did, but just like the reaction, the two different reactions to Charlie Kirk's death, one focuses on, or one says, hey, Charlie Kirk was a monster. This person, this person who was writing truth got fired. I'm sorry, they were a vile person, and Washington Post didn't want to be associated with them anymore. Don't be vile. Don't be a Satanist. Everyone believes that like Satanism is worshiping Satan. It's not. That's a part of it. You can totally do that. I'm sure some do. Disgusting. Funny that the left worship a loser like that, but no, Satanism is you put yourself in the position of God. You, in your mind, become God. That's satanic. No two ways about it. That's satanic. Sacrificing babies to the altar of self. Just like they used to sacrifice babies to Baal for prosperity. Women are aborting their babies for prosperity, for themselves, to themselves. They have made themselves their own God. And that's what happens when you remove God from your country. We've been way too comfortable for so long that people have forgotten why we need God. I think they're starting to realize it now. A lot more people are coming to God than I've ever seen. There's people that I never thought would become Christian becoming Christian. It's wild. This revival was birthed off the back of Charlie's death. And if anything good can come out of this situation, it's that Americans are no longer going to be quiet. So please, keep talking all the shit that you're talking. Let everyone see it. Because regular people see Charlie Kirk. They go, I don't really know about him, but I've heard he's a meanie man who says meanie words. That's what I've heard, they'll say. But he didn't deserve to die. While the left is dancing and celebrating all over the internet. And that might be my next segment. We might just troll on X and look and see what we find. But again, here at RBA News, we don't agree with that. We don't stand for that. Not at all. That's not what this country was founded on. That's not what this country represents. That's not what this country will be. Nope. Not going to happen. And the left will fight us on it. And I'm sure this isn't the end of political violence. Hopefully none of that comes from the right. We're better than that. And we have the power to change things. And I completely agree with JD Vance that we need to go after these NGOs that are funding radical leftists. That's why they're always at protests. They never have a job. You know why? Because they're getting paid to do it. So maybe if that money dries up, maybe they just won't be able to do that anymore. I think the division in this country is completely man-made. I mean, obviously. But what I mean is maliciously. It's by design. They open the borders, flood the country with 20 million illegals from all over the world, not just Spanish or not just Latin American. They go, oh, you want to close borders because you're racist against Mexicans. What? You know Chinese people are coming over? You know people from Albania coming over? You know people from probably the UK trying to escape their totalitarian state? Which, hey, come on. If you're willing to support the ideals of America and what this country means, welcome. But if you want to come here and then bring your country with you, sorry, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We're a melting pot. We'll take the best, whatever from your culture you want to bring that will improve the quality of life here in America. But you can keep your rape, murder, theft. You can keep that stuff back where you came from. So that's where I'm going to end this segment, guys. Just like the left and right reaction, it should kind of sum that up. The left want to demonize any sort of accountability for this and put the blame onto the right, which is always the case. It's always going to happen. Anything tragic happens, the left is going to put it on the right, the right's going to put it on the left. But in this instance, the right's correct. From the bullets with the inscriptions like Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, which is an anti-fascist song from World War II in Italy. One of the bullets said, "Catch this fascist" on it. He wasn't a fascist. Charlie Kirk didn't support fascism. Charlie Kirk was a father and a husband and a devout Christian. That's all. And he had strong opinions. He would never wish for anyone hurt. Even if he was in a crowd of leftists who wanted to abort their babies, have, intercourse with people of the same gender, transition their children. If something happened to any one of those people, Charlie would have tried to help them. Didn't matter their race, didn't matter their creed. He would debate you in the arena of ideas. That's where he fought people, in the arena of ideas. And they killed him for it. And now, people who share his beliefs are afraid that the lefts who are celebrating his death would want their deaths and celebrate their deaths. So yes, they're calling their employers or they're reporting them to their HR department saying, hey, I don't feel safe now. If they get to openly openly do this and feel like there's going to be no repercussions, I don't feel safe. Sorry. And there is free speech in this country. You are allowed to say whatever you want. You won't go to jail unless you're inciting violence. But that doesn't mean you're safe from repercussions. That doesn't mean your employer has to keep you. But anyway, that's where I'm going to end it. All right. Thank you, guys.